This is the Frog Prince. One beautiful evening, a young princess put on her bonnet and clogs and went for a walk in the woods by herself. As she wandered, she came across a lovely spring with a single rose growing beside it, and decided to rest there for a while. The princess had a shiny golden ball with her, which she would toss up high and catch with ease as it came back down. Unfortunately, the princess threw the ball too high and it didn't come back down. The ball kept rolling until it fell into a deep spring where no one could see it. The princess was very sad and she cried because she wanted her ball back. She offered everything she owned, including her clothes, jewelry, and treasures, hoping somehow to get her ball back. The princess was crying next to the shining spring when a frog appeared. The frog asked why she was so sad. The princess explained that she had dropped her valuable golden ball in the spring and didn't think a frog could help her retrieve it. Undeterred, the frog proposed a deal, the return of the golden ball in exchange for companionship. The princess hesitated but eventually agreed, doubting the frog's ability to hold up its end of the bargain. In an instant, the young princess's eyes sparkled with delight as she beheld her precious ball. Without hesitation, she hurriedly retrieved it, overflowing with joy at its return to her grasp. In her euphoric state, she completely forgot about the persistent frog and trotted home as swiftly as her feet could carry her. "Farewell, princess," called out the frog, his voice laced with longing. "Remember your promise to take me with you." Yet she paid no attention to his plea, consumed solely by the jubilation of her newfound treasure. The following day, while the princess was enjoying her dinner, she was startled by an unfamiliar sound. Tap, tap, plash, plash. Tap, tap, plash, plash. Something was approaching up the grand marble staircase. Moments later, there was a soft knock at the door, and a small voice called out, "Open the door, my princess dear, open the door, thy true love is near. Recall the vows that we both made by the fountain in Greenwood Glade." Startled, the princess rushed to open the door, only to find the sight of the frog, the very same creature that she had long forgotten. Fear struck her heart, causing her to shut the door and retreat to her seat hastily. The princess told her father, who was a wise king, all about the noise and confusion. She explained how a frog had bravely retrieved her ball from the spring. However, she had not realized that by promising him companionship that he would try to come in through the door. She had assumed he was restricted to the waters of this spring. As the princess spoke, the frog gently rapped on the door again, reiterating his plea, "Open the door, my princess dear, open the door, thy true love is near. Recall the vows that we both made by the fountain at Greenwood Glade." The king ordered the princess to keep her promise and let the frog into the room. The frog hopped onto the table and asked to sit on a chair next to the princess. Then the frog asked the princess to move her plate closer so that he could eat some of the food. Once the meal was finished, the princess reluctantly escorted the frog to her bed, where he nestled for the entire night. As dawn broke, the frog departed, much to the princess's immense relief and gratitude for his absence. However, the princess was greatly mistaken. As darkness fell upon the land, she once again heard the gentle tapping at the door, signaling the return of the frog, with his unfaltering voice repeating the same heartfelt plea, "Open the door, my princess dear. Open the door, thy true love is near. Recall the vows that we both made by the fountain in Greenwood Glade." For 3 consecutive nights, the princess granted the frog entry into her chamber, allowing him to rest on her pillow. To her astonishment, on the 3rd morning, she discovered a dashing prince in his place, gazing at her with captivating eyes, positioned at the head of her bed. He explained to her that a wicked fairy had put a curse on him, turning him into a frog. He was doomed to stay that way until a princess would take him out of the spring, let him eat from her plate, and let him sleep on her bed for 3 nights. Since she had broken the curse, the prince asked her to accompany him to his father's kingdom so they could marry and love each other forever. Without hesitation, the youthful princess accepted the prince's proposal. Soon after, a vibrant carriage pulled up with 8 stunning horses adorned in golden harnesses and feathers. Trailing behind the carriage was the prince's loyal servant, who had been mourning deeply during his master's enchantment. And so, bidding farewell to the king, they embarked on a magnificent coach drawn by 8 majestic horses. Filled with utmost bliss and jubilation, they embarked on their journey toward the prince's realm, where they arrived without any mishaps. There they resided contently for many years, enveloped in an abundance of happiness and tranquility. Thus concludes the tale of the Frog Prince. I have an old saying that I coined many years ago: a fairy tale a day keeps the magic in play. There's a lot of reasons for it. One of the reasons is because your imagination and your ability to visualize becomes heightened the more you listen to stories, especially magical stories. Also, there are many ancient wisdoms hidden in most of the fairy tales. For instance, this last fairy tale that we heard, The Frog Prince, gives us a few interesting magical lessons. For one thing, the girl found herself in a situation where she had to perform an undesirable task, touching and kissing a frog. However, her astonishment knew no bounds when the frog magically transformed into a prince. This experience taught her a valuable lesson that appearances can be deceiving, and that no one should judge something solely based on its outward appearance. It's extremely important in magic, because if you don't judge things by their appearance, you know that they're not really what they appear to be, and therefore they can change and transform. But if you believe that everything is the way it is and that's just how it's going to be, you have no ability to start changing the way things are. Also, she discovered the power of keeping her word. Little did she know that the act of keeping her word set in motion a series of events that led to the fulfillment of her deepest desires of marrying a handsome prince and living happily ever after. The story also describes how a prince became trapped in a seemingly impossible situation after being cursed by a fairy. Despite this appearance of an insolvable problem, he encountered a young girl who he believed had the ability to save him, leading him to devise a cunning plan to manipulate her into taking the necessary actions needed to break the curse. As part of the story's message, the prince learns that when faced with an unsolvable problem or a seemingly unsolvable problem, help will often arrive in unexpected ways. It's important to accept this help and recognize that it often requires cooperation and assistance from both parties involved. By helping one another, not only were the problems resolved for each of them, she got her ball, he got his curse removed, but also both of their deepest desires became fulfilled because they both fell in love with each other and lived happily ever after, which was something that neither of them was even expecting. The story depicts the frog and the princess assisting one another. So even though they each had their ulterior motives, it led to an unexpected romance and a joyful outcome. It exemplifies how a small act of generosity can carry great power. Thank you so much for being here. Much love and many blessings.